Impact Hustlers, the podcast on entrepreneurs and changemakers that are creating solutions to the world's biggest problems. Impact Hustlers is brought to you by Fast Forward 2030 and Real Changers. Visit fastforward.com to learn how to include the global goals into your business model and realchangers.com to find talent and careers with impact. And this is your host, Maiko Shafrat.
In today's episode, I talked to Sasha Yakovlev, the co-founder and head of product at OneSoil. OneSoil helps farmers take more informed decisions using the power of artificial intelligence. Their platforms allow farmers to monitor the fields in real time, relying on a range of data points such as satellite photos, sensors, and weather information. It's great to have you on the show, Sasha.
Yeah, nice to hear you.
Thank you very much. Good to have you. What brought you to become the co-founder of a farming company? What's the problem you saw initially when you started out, and how did you end up with OneSoil?
Okay, so let's start from a little story. I have an engineering background and a lot of design experience. So OneSoil started in 2014 as a team of two friends from Slava Mazai and Seva Genin. It's another co-founders. Up until November 2017, the team worked on their own funds. We also spent a year working on a startup full-time with zero salary. And we got our first pre-seed investment right after the AI hackathon in Minsk we took part in. So Slava and Seva met 4 years ago at the Agricultural Expo in Minsk, looking for new ways to apply their skills. So Slava had an engineering background and was fond of aerial photography. And Seva is an expert in JS with work experience in agriculture. So Slava would take pictures from a drone and Seva would make maps for differentiated fertilization. And the amount of data from the fields was increasing over time. And it became clear that processing this information required automation. So I joined the team in 2016. Back then, I lived in Argentina for 1 year. I began to develop the product, look for the first business contacts in South America. At the same time, the idea arose that accumulated data can be processed via machine learning. And this was the time when we began to process data and develop the first prototypes of yield analysis based on satellite imagery. So this is our start.
Amazing. What's the actual problem you're solving for farmers? So how can they use your product and what are the benefits they get from it?
So the most big problem is a world problem. So exist some challenges in the world. We believe agricultural transformation is the key to poverty reduction, improved livelihoods globally, and preserving the environment. And precision farming is a crucial component of such transformation. So because according to United Nations, the global population is expected to increase by around 40% by 2015. And it means that we need to produce more food, 70 to 100% by using the same farmland. And we help farmers to increase food output by being more efficient. So we provide them tools. Another aspect is that farmers are overspending up to 30% on seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides due to inefficient application or injection of these matters. And we provide farmers with a free tool to know what, how, and what to do to their fields daily. And finally, agriculture is a negative contributor to human ecological footprint. So we offer tools to apply variable rate technology and other precise agricultural practices in the daily operation, and thus leave a smaller eco footprint. So actually, OneSoil consists of two parts. The first part is platform for farmers. It's free and global. So we made amazing technologies and we offer these technologies to all farmers in the world. And what farmer can do inside our platform, for example, he can monitor their fields. Every 3 or 5 days, he see his fields from satellites and he understand what's happening there. So there is no need to go by foot or by car and spend a lot of hours to monitor tens of fields. He can calculate fertilizers. So as the different parts of the fields are differs from each other, and we are using satellite imagery to calculate maps for differentiated fertilization and to prepare files to machinery. So farmer take file, he generates file, it takes several minutes, then he uploads this file to machinery, And machinery use our file to apply fertilizers with a differentiated way, with a different rate in different parts of the field. So we visualize data from harvesters and tractors. We show weather. So this is a tool for farmers.
Yeah. So the farmers provide some of the data, and then you also have sensors that farmers can use on their fields and combine that with satellite data and information like weather, right?
Yeah, right. So we're trying to use as many sources of data as we can. First, this is our platform. Every day, farmers contribute us their data about fields, crops, seeding dates, etc. So we have sensors, so built in-house in Belarus, here in Minsk, and we almost started to sell the sensors. And we want to use the data from these sensors to predict disease, for example, in future. But the first step, we need to gather data to build our models and to train there.
Amazing. I saw on your website you recently released an AI-based map that analyzes crop production based on satellite photos. So you can basically scroll through the world and see which country grows how much of which crop. I actually went in there and went to the place I grew up in. It's a village in Germany. So there's a lot of farming going on there. And it was really interesting. You could see which field produces which crops typically. Tell us more about that project. How can that be used? Is that more of a gimmick, or does it really show the core of what your product does?
So you're telling about OneSoil map, I think. This is another part of our company. So the first is a free and global platform for farmers. And another part is the data. So what we do, we were first who detected all fields in United States and all Europe. So we know each field in these regions. And we used just only satellite imagery for that. So we take satellite imagery, we detect border of the agricultural field, and then we detect the crop inside this border. And we built OneSoil map. This interactive map allows users to explore and compare fields and crops in Europe and the United States, zoom in and get to know the field, the hectarage, the crop, and the field score. In addition to the chart, one can see how the fields have changed over the past 3 years. You can zoom out and understand the world, field size, crops in each region. You can compare the different ratings and get insights from more than 40 countries. But OneSoil map is just the demonstration, like a visualization of our possibilities of our data. And we offer this data to different big companies. Because the big companies, corporations, governments, they're interested to understand from the field scale to the world scale what is happening in agriculture. And this data is quite unique and very valuable. And we earn money on this data. So we closed our first contract in the beginning of this year with top one, I think, chemistry producer in the world. They use our data for their needs.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about how they use it, or how a typical customer of you could use the data to take better decisions?
In a different way. For example, for government, it's another source of statistical data. So the first source is farmers. Farmers give their data about their fields to government, but farmer is human and there is a lot of errors in this pipeline. And we provide another source of independent data just got from satellites. For example, different companies that produce food, they want to understand where to buy crops, for example, to produce food for these crops. Or producers of gasoline or producers of machinery. Sometimes they want to make market research to understand what is a bird view of crops in some region.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So you talked earlier about how with OneSoil, one of the goals is also to allow the world to produce more food for the growing population and at the same time reduce the environmental impact of growing that food. Talk us through how that works concretely. How can your platform be used to actually reduce the environmental impact of farming and make sure that the farmers have more yield?
In different ways. For farmers, for example, farmer can use the differentiated fertilization application to reduce the amount of fertilizers he uses. So he saves money with the same yield, for example, or he can get better yield and spend the same money by applying different rate of fertilizers in different parts of the field, because the different parts are very different from each other. So farmer can save fertilizer, the nitrogen, for example, and if you apply a lot of nitrogen to the soil, nitrogen can go to groundwater and then to go to lakes, for example, and it's not very good. So we're trying to apply as much fertilizers as farmer needs to grow his crops. The same with seeding, the same with application of pesticides. So the main thing is we're trying to clearly understand what's happening in different parts of the field, not on all field, but in different parts. And we trying to give farmer insights or enough information to make connection and to understand how many fertilizers or another matter he should apply there.
Mm-hmm. So currently I would assume, I'm not a farmer, but I would assume they would mainly estimate the amount of fertilizer they need for their field based on their experience, but they wouldn't really collect any data or very specific data points to understand whether that amount is actually the right amount. Is that correct? Is that what they would do without OneSoil?
Yeah, so we in the beginning, but our plans and the future we see is to give actionable insights and to make decisions for farmers as an agronomist. So, but for that, we need to work hard for a long time, because to give these insights that really works, so we need a lot of data. So this is the main reason we decided to build a free platform for all farmers. In just 1.5 of the year, we reached about 42,000 of farmers that inside our platform. So this is really, really big numbers if to compare with other companies on the market that work already for maybe tens of the years. We plan to scale fast. This is our goal.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the challenges. So you mentioned actually getting the data, right? So you provide some value to farmers and in return you get some of the data from farmers. Is getting the data the biggest challenge, or what's the biggest challenge in kind of scaling OneSoil?
Yeah, the first and main, I think, is data, because to build an AI that can predict something or that can give actionable insights, you need data to train your models. So yes, it's a big challenge. And we started to gather data several years ago. It was hard. First, we used different public sources from different countries. So then we started different partnerships with non-profit organizations, with some departments of United Nations, like FAO, like CGIAR. So they provide us data from the ground. We need ground truths from different countries to build good models. Yeah, this is the first. The second is the models. You need smart enough guys to build models that can do something valuable. Detect fields or clear imagery from clouds and shadows, or detect crops. So it takes time and you need smart brains to do that, and you need time. We're a very little team, and I think we move fast. And we are in Minsk, and in Minsk there is a lot of very good engineers. So we have opportunity to hire them.
Mm-hmm. But you're offering your platform globally already, right? Or what's your main focus at the moment?
Yeah, we thought that everything we have, we can provide to all countries. So we started in Europe, in Belarus, Lithuania, then the Western Europe like Germany, France. Right now we're working in all countries of Europe and in all states of United States. And we're planning to scale to South America, to Africa, Australia, New Zealand. So our plan for this year is to scale to all the world. To scale, I mean to detect fields first, and to offer farmers our technologies. So we use detected fields in our product also, not only selling these boundaries, but we use this in our products because the biggest barrier to entry to any agri-tech products is onboarding. So farmer needs to just try your product. Farmer needs to draw fields. So it can take hours or days if there is a lot of fields, or he should upload some boundaries. So he should ask consultants to draw boundaries for his fields and then upload these boundaries to our software. And we offer just to click on his field because we already know these fields. We know the crop, we know the boundary, and farmers spend several minutes to select 10 fields and to start trying our product. So we first realized this easy onboarding. It's really amazing.
So yeah, it's really great to hear your massive focus on farmers now and the expansion that you're working on. If you think about the next 10 years with OneSoil, what do you think does the world look like in 10 years when OneSoil succeeds? What kind of change are you trying to bring about? How does the world look like in 10 years if what you're trying to do actually works?
If to tell globally about the technologies in agriculture, our vision is a future where all agricultural knowledge in the world is connected. This will allow everyone to make precise and well-targeted decisions. And we'll see the greater transparency of data and experience from all farmers will be helpful to global agricultural transformation. So we can use the data of all farmers to make decisions for all. It's really valuable. And I also believe we'll see greater transparency of the food supply chain. For example, by scanning a QR code on the apple in the market, you can check where the apple was cultivated, how it was fertilized, and transported to the shop. And with the help of precision farming technologies, our users, farmers, will improve their farming outcomes and will save money. As for OneSoil, so we're planning to become the biggest product that farmers on earth use. So we want to work with millions of farmers and we want to really help them to optimize their work. Our vision is we see a big problem. The majority of farmers think that precision farming is a rocket science, it's hard, and they don't know how to start. So that's why we started our blog, like a scientific popular blog about precision farming. And we're trying to write interesting posts and easy posts to tell farmers how to start. So even if you don't have the big machinery that costs $500,000, you can just download our application and you can start monitoring your field from satellites. Just the first step. Try to do that right now. So we see our mission in farmers' education. So it's very important for us.
Amazing. Thanks very much for joining me today. It was great to learn about your product, and I can encourage everybody that's listening to go to your website, OneSoil.ai, and check out the map, especially if you live in Europe or the United States. Check out what actually those countries produce and maybe what the field next to you is producing. Really interesting. Thanks very much for joining today and all the best with OneSoil.
Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure. So I hope this year we'll upload the new data to our map that cover all the world and all countries. So let's be in touch.
We will be. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
This was Impact Hustlers. Impact Hustlers is brought to you by Fast Forward 2030 and Real Changers. Visit fastforward.com to learn how to include the global goals into your business model and realchangers.com to find talent and careers with impact.